Okay. Good morning, class. Now, let me start the class by today telling you, as I was discussing this morning, is about your final exams. You've already got the information yesterday that your final exam is happening from 6th of July and 6th till the 15th, and it's going to happen online. It is 100 marks. Okay, same paper for everyone. And the only thing is, like, you need to be careful that you submit your paper on time, right? Last your paper total hours for your exams is 2.5 hours, and you will be given half an hour extra for downloading and uploading your paper, downloading question paper and uploading the final answers. Okay, so the total time is 2.5 hours plus half an hour extra. Okay, now what you will actually have to do is, when the exams happen, you cannot just wait till the last moment, because you all know what had happened in your mid-semester and mid-semester review assessment, where couple of you had submitted late and your marks got deducted. And for some, like, there was, you all had copied from your friends, like it happened, and the students were marked as 0. So because mid-semester was part of your CA, you all could have recovered, but final exam is a separate component. It's not CA. So you have to keep it in mind that, first of all, you cannot waste your time. Like, once you try to upload, don't start uploading your answer papers, say 5 minutes before the closing of the time. No, don't do that. You should have in hand at least 25 minutes on hand. Finish, or try to be like 30 minutes before. Say if your exam starts from 10 o'clock, so by 12:30 all your papers should be completed, and then you go online and start uploading on the VLE. If the VLE, try once, if the VLE does not work at that time, just send a mail your answer to the respective faculty along with a screenshot that the VLE was not working at that time, you could not go in. That's what. Do not waste your time. That's what I'm saying. Because if you fail to submit your work on time, I will not be able to help you out in any way. You will have to return here to appear for a supplementary exam. That's what's going to happen. So if you don't want that, and I don't think any of you would want that, and neither would I want it. I don't want to check any supplementary paper, but the ball is in your court. You cannot go on writing. It cannot happen. You will have to read it and start writing. And the other thing is also, every single student has to give references. There's no harm if you refer from any place, but you will have to give your references. This I'm telling you, you will have to give your references. There's no way. And if you are caught, like if you submit and on the software detector, once it says, if Urkund says that you have copied and you've not given the references, it will tell you immediately. It tells us. The moment you submit, the report comes to us immediately that this person has submitted with this much % of plagiarism. That is, you have not given your references, or you've copied from someone. The name of that person comes from whom you've copied. And whoever submits, say if you've written everything by yourself, you've given references, and you have submitted first, and then you are so kind enough, you all are really kind-hearted persons, every one of you are really kind-hearted, and you tend to share your things with friends, even the answer papers. So if your friend has copied from you, you've shared, and your friend has also submitted, and the second person who submits second, the name comes. Who submitted first? Who submitted second? Name and the time comes the moment you submit. So you will be heading for big trouble, a big zero coming up for you on your way. So please be careful with this. You're writing a final exam, and all these things, whatever assessments you have done, all this will be submitted to the external examiner when the external examiner is going to come. They are going to come very soon. All this will be submitted. They will be checking it. So please be very careful with this. This is what I have to say. Now, you all better start getting ready with your exams. 6th to 15th is your exam. Timetable is more or less done. Anytime it will be coming out, and you will see it. So this is what I have to say before I go to the next part. Now, today's class, the next part of today's class is where I talk a little on your last week's the analysis, that the class activity that you all have done. Last week's class activity was much better. I was happy with your performance, overall performance. That was much better, much better. And you all have actually done what I was trying to tell you, the way you all have written. So I looked into it, and accordingly, like graded, look into it, like how well you've organized your answer, how well you've explained with the case. So I've looked into that, and then accordingly I've done. Overall, some of you, of course, have written 1 or 2 sentences and left it, and you were very abrupt on certain things, and there were 1 or 2 who did not complete the full assessment also. So these were some of the things that has to be said. Now, coming to the third part is today is where I actually start with the last part of your syllabus. And what I want all of you right away is, when I start explaining, especially there's the SWOT analysis and the diagram, I want you all to write it, because it is not there on the slide. You all should write what I have to say. Okay, I'll tell you, and then you have to start writing and just make a note of it. And so let me actually finish, start the discussion. What I'll do is, let me complete my whatever I have to say with today's class, the topics, and then I'll leave the floor open for all of you, where you can actually start whatever questions, doubts, clarifications you have. You tell me, and then we go to the next part, like today's activity, next week's also class, what we are going to do. So with this, I actually start today's class. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, like we are actually going to do SWOT analysis. Now, SWOT analysis, you all had also studied a little bit when you did your business environment, that's MGT 101, right? So, but we go a little more into details. Now, when we talk of SWOT, SWOT means S stands for strengths, W for weakness, O for opportunity, T for threat. So full form, that's this S W O T. So that is SWOT. So it's a technique which is used by an organization. Okay, now used by an organization, it could be used by the entire organization. It could be used for a project within a particular department, or in a macro perspective, it can be used also for analyzing the performance of an industry. I hope you know the difference between a company, organization, and an industry. Industry is a group of firms which are doing the same business. Say, when we say textile industry, all the companies or organizations or firms who are manufacturing textiles, they come under the textile industry. So that's the difference between a firm and an industry. Now, generally, when we talk of SWOT analysis, the purpose of SWOT analysis is like, before I go into the purpose, what happens is, like, when we talk of SWOT analysis, the main thing, as I said, is an organization, they undergo SWOT analysis firstly to actually see that every organization has their own goals. So how far the company has actually been able to fulfill in achieving their goals, how far they have been working in alignment with their goals, how far, and also with the benchmarks. They have the goals, they have the benchmarks, how that has been planned in reality, how far the company has been able to work in coordination with its goals, has been able to achieve the benchmarks. That is one thing that they do. The other thing, it's also about when there's a particular project which is coming about, okay, a particular project, how well the project is being implemented as per the plan. So it's not just the company as a whole, as I said, but also a particular project in that company. So how far it's been able, whatever has been planned, whether it's been able to implement, able to abide by it. SWOT helps in analyzing it. And why do we actually need to do this analysis? Otherwise, we will never get to know where we are standing today, how far we've improved, what are the areas where there needs to be improvement. If we don't do this analysis, there won't be any feedback. We cannot improve. Okay. So now when we talk of SWOT, coming to SWOT, the first two components, that is S and W, that is strengths and weaknesses, these are part of internal environment, that is internal factors of an organization. Okay, and these factors are very much controlled, under the control of the organization or the team, and it's because strengths and weaknesses are coming in because of the decisions that the organizations make. Because of the decisions, when an organization or a team makes a right decision, that becomes your strength. When you fail to make a wrong decision, what happens? Your loopholes will always be your loopholes. You cannot overcome that loophole. So it depends on your decision. So it's very much in control. But whereas when we talk of O&T, opportunities and threats, right? Opportunities and threats, these are part of external factor. External factor, this is external environment, that is beyond the outside the organization. That's why it's beyond the control of the organization. Okay, so organization cannot do anything with what is happening outside their sphere of operation, outside their control. Anything that is happening within the organization, the management can control. Which is happening outside the organization, say in the business environment, external environment, what will happen? Government policies are changing, economic problems are coming in. What can organization do? They cannot do anything. So that's beyond the control. Organization does not have any power. Okay, so when we talk of SWOT, what are the things that actually comes into play? When we talk of strengths, some of the things is where it's things that the company does quite well, okay, where there are certain unique factors which distinguishes the company from their competitors. Internal resources, also, like when we talk of intellectual property rights, that comes up. That's also the strengths. When you have a right over a project, over a resource, when you have the full right. So that's your strength. Weaknesses, when we talk of weaknesses, it comes up what the company is lacking, things where the competitors are better than you. Sometimes resource limitation can be a weaknesses. Sometimes when we talk of unique selling proposition, USP, when the USP of the company is not clear, consumers are totally confused. That's a weakness when you don't know. Opportunities comes up is when we talk of some markets which has not been tapped properly, it's underserved, as we say. It's not been exploited. There's a huge market, but the organization has not done it. There are few, when you have few competitors in the area, in the area where you're doing the business, that the type of business, very few competitors are there. Sometimes what happens is, when there is a demand for the products, your products and services, sometimes it comes up. So that's there. And the other that comes up is the coverage of your company, the highlight that you get from media. Media plays a big role. Like they either pull you up or just pull you down. It happens. And the threats that comes up is when you have new competitors coming up, there's a change in the regulation coming up, when you tend to get negative press coverage. People start blaming, okay? And sometimes the customers' attitude starts changing towards your company. It can happen for various reasons. Could be you're responsible, could be because of the media, could be like there are better products coming up, for whatever the reason it's. Okay, now when we actually talk of SWOT, now you see, how do we actually do a SWOT? We will draw, this is where I want all of you to write down what I'm saying, a 4-quadrant diagram. The top part of the quadrant is internal environment. The bottom part is external environment. Now the internal environment is again divided. You see this? It's strengths and weaknesses. The bottom part, the external environment, is opportunities and threats. Okay. Now, what has to be done is, for any firm or a project in a firm or the industry, you need to list down what are the strengths. 1, 2, 3, that's how you do it. The weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. You need to list down. Okay, now strengths and opportunities are positive factors. Weaknesses and threats are negative. Now, the next step that comes up is, once you list down all the factors, then you see the internal environment. Look into the internal environment, the 2 components, strengths and weaknesses. So you have to see that how many strengths. Say suppose there are 5 strengths, weaknesses, there are 3 weaknesses. So, which means strength is more than weakness, because 5 and 3, it's much more. Okay, so the company is having strengths, so it's in a better position, right? Then you look into the external factors, external environment, you see opportunities and threats. Suppose under opportunities you have 4 factors, under threats you have 2 factors. So what does that mean? That the company has more opportunities. This is more dominant. So the last stage that comes up is, so in the internal environment we saw it's the strengths which is dominating. In the external environment we saw its opportunities. So the company is following a strategy of SO. S stands for strengths, O for opportunity, which means the company is in a comfortable position, is in a comfortable position and has the required skills, and that is why they are able to capitalize on the opportunities which is there. What are the different types of strategies that can happen? One is strengths and opportunities, that is SO. Second comes up is strengths and threats, ST. Third comes up weakness and opportunity, WO. And the fourth comes up is weakness and threat, that is WT. Now, S and O means, I just now said, the company is having sufficient resources, and in a comfortable position, is an advantageous position as compared to their competitors, and which is why they are able to capitalize on the opportunities which is there. Okay. If we say S and T, it means the company has the required skills and are in a better position as compared to the competitors, which is why they are able to overcome the threats which is there in their external environment. Third comes up when we talk of weakness and opportunity. Now, company does not have, they have their internal problems, which through proper decisions, they can overcome that in order to capitalize on the opportunities which is there. And the last that comes up is weakness and threat, where company is in a vulnerable position, bad position. Company is having internal problems as well as facing problems from outside. Until and unless and a proper change in the management, drastic change in the strategy happens, this organization is bound to fail. So these are the four probable strategies that comes up, and that's how an organization decides. So that's why it says the goal of SWOT is to actually match the strengths which would be able to attract the opportunities, while on the other hand trying to eliminate the weak or overcome the weakness and minimize the strengths, using the strengths to capitalize the opportunities, while on the other hand trying to minimize or eliminate the weakness, and also to overcome the weakness and minimize the threat. So this is the purpose. That's how we have the four different types of strategies. Now this is an example, okay? Example, that's what I had just said on for restaurants. Fictional, see, there are 3 strengths and there are 4 weaknesses. So here weakness is more dominating. Now, if you in the internal environment, in the external environment, we have 3 opportunities, so 3 threats. So it's similar. It's a very neutral organization, highly competitive. There are opportunities, but there are also threats. So what happens? The organization, this restaurant has to come up with a proper strategy which would help them to totally eradicate or eliminate these weaknesses, which would be able to so that they are able to capitalize on the threats and minimize this, capitalize on the opportunities, and they can minimize the threats. So that's how it should be done. You first note down, then you see internal, external, and then you decide the strategy. Okay. So we come to the next topic that we have, that is where we talk of marketing. Now, when marketing happens, right, what are the stages that comes up in marketing? There are 3 different stages in marketing when we are marketing your products. One is where we talk of mass marketing. Mass marketing is when a company manufactures only one product, produces in bulk, and sells in bulk and promotes that also. That's mass. Mass means in bulk, but one product. And they're selling it to all the buyers. There's no differentiation. Same product for everyone. Okay. The second that comes up is product variety marketing, where the seller is actually producing 2 or more products that have different features, styles, different variety, different sizes. So there's a variety. So 2 or more. But again, selling for everyone. Selling for everyone. But there is a variety. It's not the same. And the third that comes up is where we talk of target marketing. Now, target marketing is where the seller is identifying a particular market segment. You're targeting not everyone, but a particular group of customers. So segment means to divide the market into small groups. So you identify which segment of the market you want to actually look on or focus on. So target either one segment or multiple. It can actually do it. First identify, then select, and then develop the products and services that mainly targeting that group of customers. Maybe you need to go for some adaptation, some modification of your products to target those or meet the needs of that particular group of customers. Now, the three steps that we have when we talk of target marketing, there are three steps: market segmentation, target market targeting, and market proposition. Okay, now let's start with market segmentation. When we talk of market segmentation, as I said, this is basically that's the first step where the company, the businessman, or the organization, they first look into the market, entire market. They divide that entire market into small groups which have similar taste, similar choices based on the product or service that they want to sell. So you have to divide the group in a way so that they have similarity. That's why we are talking of homogeneous. Homogeneous means similar, right? And so they will all, as I said, all the members, all the customers in that particular group have similar factors, similar characteristics. It could be with regards to the demand for the product or the choices, anything. Now, when segmentation is being done, it is done based on it can be done in four ways: geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. Now, when we talk of geographic, we are talking of regions. It could be urban, it could be rural, it could be city. We are talking of city. We can talk of the climate comes into play. The market density comes into play, the size of the state comes into play, right? Demographic is basically where we talk of age, gender, your race, your income, education, occupation, family size, your family background, social class, religion, everything comes under demographic. Now, when we say psychographic is where we talk about our own lifestyles, our motives, our personality. And the last that comes up is behavioral. Behavioral is behavior towards that particular product, like the end use of that product, the total amount of the volume of usage, how frequently are we going to use, how much we are going to use, the benefit, what benefit do we expect, brand loyalty, price comes into play, and the occasion for using, when do we use it. So this is what exactly I was just telling you. Okay, right. So see this, these are some of the examples that we have. Like say when you divide it where young adults versus people who are in their 18 to 35. So this is something. So this is quite vague. You know, young adults and people. This is a vague concept, but this is much more specific. It's much more specific. So what exactly it means is like when you are targeting the segment, there has to be a reason why you are making that differentiation. You have to make a differentiation. You cannot just do businessmen. If you have to be a successful businessman, you cannot just segment your the entire market on just because on your whims and whimsicals. There has to be a reason, justification for why you are targeting it that way, or you are segmenting it that way. Okay, so this is some of the examples which can be done, like when you're talking on mobile phones or who travels by air from Thimphu to Bhutan. So this is again where that's how the airlines industry they will start targeting like which group. So when mobiles are there, like who would want to buy that particular mobile. Okay, next stage, as we said, is where we are talking of targeting, right? Now, targeting is what happens is we had first stage was segmentation. Divide the market into different segments. Then comes up is from that segment, different segments, which particular segment would be responding to your product, your services to the maximum. So that is what is known as target. A segment which would respond to your products or services to the maximum possible extent. So target that particular segment. That is what it talks about. That is segment targeting. Now, which happens here when you actually start targeting, brands become more specific, that which brand would suit your brand would suit which segment of the market. So focus there. And why is targeting so important? It plays a vital role in marketing. It's important for various reasons. First factor is, it's part of the entire marketing strategy. It's overall marketing strategy. If you have to have a successful marketing strategy, targeting plays a vital role. So it plays an overall role. Success or failure of your marketing strategy depends on your targeting, how well you are able to target. It also, when you can go for a proper market targeting, you know what sort of advertisement you can go about with. It also helps you in talking about the customer's experience in what you get to know more about it, because you have done a research on the customer feedback, and so you know their experience, their feedback, their needs, their demands. Branding comes into place, like what sort of branding you would do. It also affects your business operations. How would you operate that business when you have a target group of customers? Now, when you talk of targeting, targeting can be done on a broad basis. It can be done on a narrow basis. Usually when it starts from this more mass marketing when you do it. Okay, so then it's like for everyone, there's no differentiation. And then slowly comes up when you start differentiating it, like segment wise, when you actually start segmenting, dividing the entire market into segments. So that's called differentiated marketing. Different products for different types of segments. From there comes up is a much more narrower, which is called niche marketing or concentrated. Within that segment also certain areas where nobody has ever thought of, you're concentrating, or an area or a market where nobody has ventured before. Niche means new, nobody has done before in that economy. And finally comes up when you start targeting individuals or local areas. That's called micro marketing. That's more targeting, your narrow targeting. Okay, so this is again an example, like exercise, like how, like Coca-Cola's example is there, like how did they start from mass marketing to coming up to product variety and then coming up to target marketing. Like they have moved from mass marketing to, because when they started the business Coca-Cola, that was for everyone, same thing for all. And then you actually see today Coca-Cola there are varieties, there are different varieties for different group of people they have targeted. So that's how they have been successful today. Okay, the last stage of today's marketing strategy, like the target marketing, is positioning. We did segmentation, we did targeting. Now comes up positioning. That's the last. Positioning comes from the word position or place. It's not the place like where goods and services are sold. Place is customers' opinion about your products, about your services. Where do they place your products and services in their mind? Where do they place it? Their opinion about your products, your services? Do the customers have a very good opinion? Do they have a bad opinion? Is it like really good, bad, or somewhere in the middle? Or what is their opinion? That's place means their opinion. That's what the place means here. Now, what happens is it tells you, it tells like depending on the customer's opinion, it tells you how they relate your products with those of their customers, how do they with those of the competitors, your competitors, what they feel about your product or service, how do they actually compare, interpret, yes, how do they what do they say about your products, like where do your products and services stand as compared to their competitors, because customers have a tendency, and it's quite natural that they compare, they relate, they feel. That's what they do it, and that's with how they position it. And that's how you say, suppose when we say that these are the 10 different companies, how would you categorize and how would you place them, rank them? Each customer would do it in a different way, depending on their experience, depending on their feeling, depending on how they interpret things. Okay. Now what exactly happens here? Like as I said, that every customer does their own evaluation of own mental evaluation of what is going to be offered to them. Everyone does that, and that's why it's different. They look into the situation from a different perspective, and perception and the way they perceive the things, accordingly mental analysis is done, and accordingly you have certain customers who are your regular customers, certain customers who will be rare customers, or sometimes they will just come one time customers and then they leave. Okay. Uh, Now, what happens also is when we talk of positioning, the best way is to have a business logo that will help customers to remember your business, and also which would help them to have right a proper information, detailed information. That logo tells a lot of things. Okay, so what happens up is like when we talk of like when is let's say for example, like when we talk of the different business companies that we have, business the different companies that we have, say, and each of the when you see those ads in the newspapers or when you see those ads in the television, you see that for different companies they have a they have their own logo and they have a statement. That's what it is important, a statement is there. So moment you hear that statement, you know, oh, this is this company. So that's how customers really, and that statement has to be catchy. Customers should be able to like that, get attracted to that statement. The logo should also be attractive, as well as that statement, the brand statement. That is also called positional statement. So whenever a customer thinks of your business, what will happen when they see the logo and that statement? Even if the company's name is not there, they will automatically customers will automatically think, oh, this is that company, this is a different company. So if you see this, if you see all this, what's there, different things. Say for L'Oreal, what is it? It says because you're worth it. LG, life is cool, life is good. So if you see just the logo and life is good, people know it is LG. So that's how it goes about. I'm loving it. This M sign, and I'm loving it. That's the logo, and people know that it's McDonald's. So this is how this should be catchy. See, Nike, this is Nike's logo, and it says just do it. People know that this is Nike. So it's your logo, and the statement should be such where it should attract your customers, and the moment they see, they know, okay, this is what means. So it has to be there. Okay, so without this, without a position and strategy, company would fail in their marketing. That's all that we have from my side. uh, just a moment, please. Okay, so I am leaving the floor open for all of you. Now you tell me what if you whatever questions, clarifications, whatever you have. Is there any questions from your side?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
Yeah, anyone, like one by one.
uh, ma-
Anyone? Yeah, tell
ma'am,
me.
for the SWOT analysis we have to do for the review question, should we do the same like the example given in the slides, ma'am, or should we
Uh,
elaborate more, ma'am?
you elaborate more, but you go the way I said. Just now, I explained to you the steps of doing the SWOT analysis. You will do it exactly the way I said. Like you will draw that four quadrant diagram, write strengths, weaknesses down. You write opportunities and threats, and strengths and weaknesses means internal environment. Opportunities and threats on the side. You write external environment. Then you list down the factors for internal and external environment against all those like whatever strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You will list down everything. Then you start comparing like internal environment, strengths and weakness, which is more dominant. Count the number of factors and then see. Then you can say in the internal environment, this is either strength or weakness that's more dominant. Then you look into the external environment. You have opportunities and threats. Again, see list from the list which is more dominant, and then you come up with the strategies. Internal, which is more dominant; external, which is more dominant, and then you say, okay, Kinzang.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Pema had a question. What is it, Pema?
Madam, I didn't understand the strength and threats, ma'am. If
Okay. Strengths
and
is
and also the weakness and opportunity, ma'am.
okay. Strengths is where the skills that you have, where you are at an advantageous position as compared to your competitors. Your competitors do not have it. You have it. Or even if they have it, you have the better quality. It could be your internal, your human resources. It could be your technology. It could be your leadership quality. It could be material resources. It could be funds. It could be the business idea. It could be anything where you have a control. Weakness is all those areas where there's a loophole in your organization, where your competitor is in a better position. The weakness, that's what weakness is. Strengths and weakness is totally under the control of the organization. It's totally controlled. Weaknesses can be overcome with proper managerial strategy. Opportunities and threats is outside the organization, where the organization does not have any control. Opportunities say these which is there, all the new chances which is coming up your way, it's there. So it could be a new market which is there. It could be like there's a change of government policy which is going to benefit you, your business. It could be like there is a because now you can actually do your business in some other country. It could be because there's a niche market nobody has thought of. It could be a new brand of customers, like people, new group of people coming up. It could be anything. It could be. And threats is where these are actually hurdles in the external environment. Threats could be also because the media can actually be a threat for you. You're really doing a good job, but somehow, somewhere down the line, there was a clash or miscommunication between your organization and the media. So media is after you to pull you down. Media can be a big thing. It could be also the rules and regulations in the economy where you're operating. It's becoming more stringent. Now look into the present situation due to COVID. What has happened? Businesses, international businesses have become, global businesses have become a real problem. You cannot do it. It's affecting. It's affecting. So
Yes.
that's the threat. Okay. Is it clear,
Thank you,
Pamela?
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else has any other question? Does anyone else have any other question?
I
Madam, can
think
you
this
turn to slide number 2, ma'am?
Which one you have to tell me?
There is churn rate, ma'am. What is that, ma'am? Churn rate.
What is?
In slide number 2, there is a
No,
churn rate, ma'am.
you tell me what exactly you are trying to say. Which one you are saying? SWOT. Are you talking of SWOT?
Yes, ma'am. In the second slide, madam. Second slide, there is
Yeah,
a type of rate. No, ma'am.
yeah.
It is
When
known as
we are
churn rate, madam.
where I,
CHURM.
where I said that strengths and weaknesses is totally under the control of the organization, and opportunities and threats are something which is beyond the control of the organization, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's what I was just telling what Pema was when I was explaining to Pema's question. Strengths and weaknesses totally controlled by the organization. Strengths and weaknesses are internal. It's the organization's strengths, organization's weaknesses. Who has the control? The management has the control. The board has a control. It's the internal strategies, the policies. So totally, it can be done. Changes can be done. Whereas opportunities and threats is outside the organization. Outside the organization means where the government, the organization does not have any control. Even if you're doing a really good business, if there is an economic crisis happening, what can you do? You cannot do anything. That's not in your hand. Or like you know that there should be some change in regard some if there is some change in the policies of the government, if it is brought about, that would help you, but it's not in your hand. It's for the government to decide. If that is being done, it helps you. Or media, for instance, media sometimes also praises, so if media is not in your hand, if they praise you, you're really good. So you don't know, you have to bang. So opportunities and threats are things which are not within the control of the organization. That's outside. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone has any other questions?
I have a small clarification.
Huh?
I have a small clarification for you.
Which one? A little louder.
It's regarding the SWOT analysis, ma'am. Ma'am
Yeah.
was talking about the goals of the SWOT analysis earlier. I cannot catch up with all the details of the goals of SWOT analysis. Could you repeat it once again?
SWOT analysis again, like what are the things that is included?
The goals of SWOT analysis.
Goals of SWOT analysis. Okay.
Yes.
Now, goals, when you say no, there are two goals. One, where we talk of the company or the organization as a whole. Now, every organization has their own goals, their own benchmarks. So through the SWOT analysis, that's been planned, right? You have it. So when the company actually starts operating, how well has the company been able to fulfill their goals? How far they have been working in line with their goals? How far they have been able to achieve their benchmarks? How would you know? Through the SWOT analysis. Second comes up is within a company, if then there are different projects, different departments are coming out with different projects. So how well is the company may be really doing well overall, but the different projects may be not doing at the same level. There will be variety. So how well each of these projects are doing as per their plans? Are they really been doing as per the plans? That's what. Is it clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Ocean.
It's all clear now.
Okay. Uh, any other questions from anyone? Is there any other question? Or have you understood? What?
No question, madam.
Okay, no questions. So if you do not have any questions, let me actually go to the next part of today's class is where we have today's assessment is there. Today's assessment is on unit 6, 7 and 8, right? Which is there. So one definitely you saw there's already there. It's posted. You all know it. So SWOT I've already explained, and 6 and 7 also. So read the question carefully, and it's application based. Like see it and take up whenever you have the example of an organization. So take up the proper organization and then relate it with the question. Don't just tell me in general answer. Relate it with the help of that organization. If you will be referring to some sources. I need references for all of you. You cannot just give me copy from somewhere and give it to me. I need your references. If I find anyone who's not given their references, I'm going to mark that question as 0. I need proper references from you. Okay, and you're going to submit it on time. Now, the next, I give you time till 2 p.m. because of the internet issues and all. So you would have to also look into such things. So latest by 2 p.m. everyone has to submit. If someone is submitting after 2 p.m., I'm going to deduct some marks. Everyone has to submit by 2 p.m. without fail. Okay, the third thing that comes up is like with regards to next week's class. Next week, all of you, I want every single student online because you're going to study the entire syllabus and come. We're going to have discussion chapter wise. I'm going to start with the discussion chapter wise, like whatever things, questions, like topic wise, how do we go about. I'm going to discuss with you also the structure of the question paper, and you will also have to tell me whatever questions, clarifications, doubts you have. You need to clarify it on that day because next week is the last class that we are having this semester before the final exams. So every single student has to be there. I want to see all of you. Okay? Okay. So that's all that I have for today's class, and I will stop the class now, and you all will actually go back to see the classwork page, the questions which is there. Now when you are writing these questions at the time of submission, clearly I'm saying I do not want to see any class comment. You will write and upload the file, the Word file. No class comment, no private comment. It should not be there. Write in Word file and submit. Do not copy from your friends. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. I'm going to deduct marks drastically. So that's all that I have. So good luck, and I'll see you next week and in the class. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay.